Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason. Speaking to you here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. Today I am continuing my series on ranking every single Beatles song. I am down to number 56 through number 53 here on my list, so stay tuned to see what they are here on Jason the Old Millennial. Hello everybody, hope everybody's doing well here on a Wednesday evening. Doing pretty good. Weather's been pretty nice in the 50s. It's kind of nice not having to put a coat on all the time. Still cold enough to put a jacket though. Yeah, so I'm continuing my series ranking the Beatles, which I feel like I haven't done in a couple of weeks. I've been having other stuff going on, but definitely want to get back to finishing this series at some point this year, hopefully. Also want to say before I start, I'm going to be on Mike's Did You Z That channel tomorrow. I'm going to be on between 2 p.m. and 4 p.m. Central Standard Time, which is 8 to 10 p.m. over in the UK. And I'm going to be on a Z Talks, as I've been the last like 3 weeks. So it's been a blast getting back on Z Talks, getting to talk with a lot of my friends on YouTube, which is always great, and hanging out and answering questions about movies that people have and trying to pretend like I'm somewhat of an expert at it. It's a lot of fun, and so grateful to Mike for letting me on his channel every week. He's so nice to do that for me. One of my favorite things I've done. So anyway, so that's tomorrow. But yeah, getting to Beatles 56 through 53. I mean, man, of course, as I'm getting lower, I just marvel at how great these songs are and some of my favorite Beatles songs. And no other band or artist has this many great songs. I'm already like, gushing over how great these songs are, and I'm not in the top 50 yet, where I get to what I consider the really, really, really great Beatles songs. These are still in my list of good Beatles songs, but good Beatles songs are better than almost anybody else's songs. So at number 56, I have another Beatles for Sale song. I've been doing the last couple times, and I got this wrong because I thought I did this song already, but I hadn't. But it's I don't want to spoil the party. Last time my last video I talked about Babies in Black and how similar to me that is to I Don't Want to Spoil the Party, which are these underrated gem songs on Beatles for Sale. Beatles for Sale is an album full of hidden gems, I think, and it's considered maybe the worst album. And I've heard some people say they hate this album, or I think it's a terrible album. I still really like Beatles for Sale. It's got some great Beatles songs. Unfortunately, it's got some terrible cover songs on it that kind of ruin the album. But just listen to the Beatles originals, or just it's up there. It's some of my favorite Beatles songs. As you see, I've got some more coming up on this album. But last time I think I said I had Babies in Black a little bit. I said I think I have it a little bit higher than I Don't Want to Spoil the Party, but I forgot haven't talked about it yet, so I was wrong. I Don't Want to Spoil the Party I have just barely above Babies in Black, was at 57. So I don't know why those two songs kind of seem similar to me. They're kind of these songs you don't think about a lot. They weren't big hits, singles or anything on the album. They're not songs you ever hear in Beatle tribute concerts, or anytime you talk about the Beatles, these aren't songs that come up. But two really excellent songs, like I said, underrated. This was a B-side actually to 8 Days a Week in the UK back in 1965, which of course 8 Days a Week was I think a #1 single at the time. It was also on Beatles for Sale, probably their biggest song on that album. So it's a great B-side to a really great A-side in my opinion. But yeah, it's mostly John wrote it while they're on tour in 1964. Of course, going on the big US tour around, that really changed everything here in the United States and over the world. I mean, they're already big, but they became even huge, or bigger at that point, 1964, before they did their Hard Day's Night and that movie and all that became huge. And yeah, so again, this is it's another song. Like I said, there's a lot of negative songs on Beatles for Sale, and this is another one about him being at a party and being depressed because of a breakup. And so the idea is like he's going to leave because he's spoiling the party with being so sad, which he's being a downer at the party, and he thinks, I better just leave because I don't want to spoil the party. So it's not a bad idea for a song. And again, just love the harmonies, especially the John and Paul harmonies are just top notch on here. When they go to that chorus of "I still love her," oh, just so great. And I said I don't know why it's not talked about enough because man, when you get to that chorus, it's just like this is why the Beatles are the greatest band ever. Even a song like this, they just kill it with those harmonies and vocal work. And it again has a bit of a country western feel to it, which some of the songs on this album do, which is interesting. But yeah, excellent song off here. Number 56 for me, I Don't Want to Spoil the Party. At number 55, I have You Won't See Me, song coming off the Rubber Soul album. Lennon McCartney, mostly Paul. Again, writing about who else? Jane Asher. Seems like every video I make, I talk about Jane Asher. I mean, I feel like there wasn't more songs written by one person than Jane Asher. Paul was going through this relationship with her. I think in the last video I even talked about he wrote a love song kind of while he was on away or something thinking about her, and he wrote this like nice kind of love song. I think that came off like the Help album or something like that. And so you kind of see the relationship. If you look at just his songs based on Jane Asher, you see like when he's talking about her in Help, it's very nice love songs. When he gets to Rubber Soul, it's You're Not Treating Me Right kind of songs. And eventually they break up, of course. By the time you get to Revolver, I think there's some more songs, some negative songs about her, about the relationship that I think they probably break up soon after that point. So it's kind of interesting, kind of when I'm listening to songs and doing the research and going, oh yeah, this is another one about Jane Asher. And this one, You Won't See Me, is, obviously, you're not treating me right, so I'm gonna be gone. You won't see me. I'll be leaving. But man, there's so many great songs. Rubber Soul I haven't gotten to yet. Really high on my list. This is maybe in the middle of the album as far as my favorite songs on the album. Still a killer song. Paul's vocal work, so amazing. Some of his best vocal work, I think. Great melodies, of course, and then that great chorus with the harmonies of "You won't see me, you won't see me." Ah, so great. Makes the song amazing. Yeah, another great one by Paul here. You Won't See Me at number 55 on my list. Number 54 is one of the strangest songs, one of the strangest Beatles songs they ever recorded. And it is Happiness is a Warm Gun, which is also one of the greatest titles for a song I've ever heard. I don't know why, I always love that title. Happiness is a Warm Gun. So great. Coming off the White Album, which is the album that they put all their strange songs on, I feel like. All the songs you probably wouldn't put on the other albums. White Album's like, let's put it on here. Let's try everything. Let's do everything that we haven't done before. Let's totally experiment. This is, of course, a Lennon McCartney song. Mostly it's John's. Of course, he sings it, and mostly written by him. It's such a unique song in their discography, or their songs, that it almost is like three songs. Basically, is three songs that they somehow meld together into one, because it definitely changes throughout. You got the first part is probably the weirdest part, and from what I researched, it said that the first part was written while John was on an acid trip, which makes total sense because it has some weird lyrics about something about a lizard and ate and donated to the National Trust, and you listen and you go, what? And it turns out if you look, I guess if you research the lyrics, they all have a meaning behind them, but when you first listen to them, you're like, this is weird, doesn't make any sense. But yeah, that's what makes the song so good, is how weird it is to me. But the first part is probably my least favorite part, but it's a weird kind of part, just John singing. And then we get to the second part, which has a great guitar. I love the guitar. It has an amazing guitar in there, and it's a kind of almost in between the first. The first part seems like the verses. The second part seems like just in between part, and the third part seems like the chorus. It's just a really weirdly arranged song that somehow works really well, and only the Beatles could do it. But the third part, or the second part, we get the I need a something because I'm going down, it's really cool. I love the melody of it, or whatever. How it's how he goes the highs and lows. And we're left uptown, like so good. And then the whole Mother Superior, jump the gun. Oh, so good. Love that, and love how it just transitions into the third part, which turns into this like 50s doo-wop song about happiness is a warm gun and how much he loves his gun, which is the name of the song. So the name of the song really doesn't come into play till the third part of the song. So it's like the third part's really the song, and the first two are these just added bonuses to the song that they decide to make it longer, I guess, and say, hey, we have these other two parts, put it all together. Works very well. Of course, that third part, really talking about happiness is a warm gun, was written because John saw a cover of a gun magazine, and it said on the title, "Happiness is a warm gun." And he loved that title so much that he turned it into a song. Of course, as the Beatles do so well, they just take something that sounds kind of cool, turn it into a great song. Which is, like I said, great name for a song, or great quote on a magazine. That would be a great name on a magazine if you're promoting guns, because it's happy. And a warm gun means you shot it. That's the thing I think John said he liked so much, is the idea that a warm gun means you shot it. That makes the barrel kind of heat up. I'm guessing, I'm not a gun owner myself, but I can understand that would make the gun barrel maybe a little bit warmer when the bullet goes through. And so the idea is that you shot at something, and that's happiness, which seems to, go against the whole peace, love idea that they had, the Beatles had, and John would definitely have in the 70s, kind of the hippie kind of mantra. But anyways, so yeah, it's kind of cool, the whole backstory, how John kind of came up with this idea and how he just loved the name and all that. And I love it's my favorite part of the whole song is that third part. It turns into this 50s doo-wop with him. Happiness is a warm gun in the background. I love the background with Paul and George or whatever going bang, bang, shoot, shoot. Like, oh, so good. And it works so well together. And John's just vocally so amazing. And then when I have you in my arms, I feel there's something on my trigger. It's like so good and so awesome. So John, and then he even goes into this happiness, and it's like, oh, so good vocally. And then he hits this really good high note at the end. He hits gun, and it's like, wow, what a great high note. And he puts so much effort into it and so much passion into the song that's so weird. Makes it so great. Yeah, definitely one of the strangest, unique, but great Beatles songs. Happiness, a warm gun, number 54 on my list. And then we're in my list today at number 53, which is actually the last song you can say that the Beatles ever recorded, and that is Real Love, which you might think, Real Love, that was never on a Beatles album, or, didn't come out until 1996. So how do we have a Beatles song in 1996 when John Lennon died in 1980? Very interesting. Of course, this came off of the anthology series that came out in that time period, 95, 96. They came out with this big documentary, which I own. It's my favorite documentary of all time. It's greatest, in my opinion, on the Beatles. So many great stuff chronicling the Beatles from the beginning to when they broke up. And they did two songs based off of songs that John Lennon wrote that he never recorded. He died before he ever put them on an album. And so he has some demo tapes. There's some bunch of demo tapes I've heard of John Lennon songs that, of course, unfortunately just, was assassinated right after he did Double Fantasy. And so there's still more that John could have given, unfortunately, died in tragic circumstance. And so this is the second song that came out in the anthology series on the second. The anthology series came out in, what I remember I saw on TV at the time, came out in 3 segments, 3 different days, like 2 hours a piece. 3 2-hour documentaries, basically going from beginning, middle to end. And this Real Love, I think, was on the second documentary that they did, the one in between. I heard that they were going to do a third song. They were going to do 3 documentaries, basically, or a documentary in 3 parts, and have each part end with a new Beatles song, which was mind-blowing for a Beatles fan to go, oh my gosh, we're going to get a Beatles song, here 26 years after they broke up and 16 years after John Lennon died, we're going to get a Beatles song. I mean, that was so groundbreaking at the time, and still blows my mind, actually. Anytime I'll talk about the other song too here before too long. But the two songs they came up with, I mean, I love both songs. Both were great. And it's so cool to think, man, we got new Beatles songs and they're great. And it still blows my mind. I was like, wow, it's so cool that we got another Beatles song. And I got to hear it for the first time with everybody else watching the anthology series. And anyways, the first song was very monumental, but even the second song isn't talked about enough, but still a really great song. And the question, of course, is when I was putting my list together, do I count Real Love as a Beatles song? It's very odd because obviously Lennon was passed away by this point, so he didn't have a part in making the song in that sense, except that we have John's voice, because John did record this song on a demo. So this is John Lennon's voice in the song, and they just mixed in the other Beatles doing vocals and also guitar, bass, drums works as well, I think. So to me, I count it as a Beatles song because all four Beatles worked on it. One of the Beatles wrote the song. To me, it's hard not to say that's not a Beatles song. And of course, John Lennon didn't mean it to be a Beatles song, I suppose you can say. He meant to be probably a solo, but with him gone and Yoko Ono giving the blessing on it, I suppose if Yoko Ono said no, they wouldn't do this, but getting Yoko Ono's blessing, I guess, letting them take one of John's songs, turning it into a Beatles tune. To me, I count it as a Beatles song, even though it came out so much longer after they broke up and after John's not even around. Yeah, to me, I say it's a Beatles song, I guess, in the end. And I'm curious if anybody thinks differently about that. But yeah, so I put it here on my list at number 53, almost the top 50 song, in fact. I mean, which is crazy to think they come out with a song like this that's so great, so many years after. That's better than some of their classic Beatles songs, as I've already talked about on here. It's probably very odd, but man, I love John's vocals are great on here. What they got in the demo tape worked really well. And the harmonies are still amazing. The chorus, especially when they go into that, it's real love, it's real. Just again, the Beatles. I almost get teary when I talk about this because seeing them together again just brings tears to my eyes. Almost the idea of hearing them sing another song, and those harmonies just work so well together. But yeah, that was so cool hearing that song. And it's a great love song, talking about love it's a real love, a love that lasts kind of idea. So just a really great, amazingly written song by John, one of the best love songs he's written. And again, vocal work amazing, harmony's amazing, and the guitar is absolutely amazing. There's a really good kind of guitar solo in there, really greatly done as well. Yeah, it's one of their greats, and which is crazy to think about. But also, it came out on a documentary called Imagine, which I have as well, a documentary that they did about John Lennon right before he died, or they put together after he died, but took in footage before he died, and kind of chronicling not just his Beatles time, but his solo work and his activist work, I guess, in the 1970s. It came out in 1988, really good documentary, one I really love about John Lennon. And in the opening of that documentary, this is, of course, before 1996 when this came out in anthology. So back in 1988, the song came out, it's Real Love, and it just doesn't have the other Beatles on it. It just has John Lennon's vocals, but still really cool to hear this song in the documentary and go, oh, wow, there's that song that they kind of made into a Beatles song in a way. So yeah, so cool. This actually did chart number 4 in the UK and number 11 in the US, so it still did pretty well for yeah, the Beatles. I mean, what can you say? I'm surprised it won number 1. Maybe I think I'll get to the other song. I think it charted even better, so we'll see. But anyway, so that's my number 53 pick, Real Love. So those are my 4 on this video, and just comment what do you think about these 4 songs. Where are they on your list? How high would they be on your list? Love to read those. And just thank you to everybody watching this video. Thank you for liking it. And just thank you to all the subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a good day.